Fogel, and his title is Principal of Westwood Financial Corp. Very much involved in real estate, and we could stop right there and he would give a very high-powered talk on real estate, but his life, interestingly enough, goes on much further than that. He became a painter, a writer, a stand-up comic, what else? And an actor, independent film producer. So all of those wonderful sides of Stephen are going to be in front of us in a few minutes, and we'll get to share and hear his wisdom. So please give a warm, incited welcome to Stephen Fogel.
Thank you. First, I would like to acknowledge your whole group. By the way, I come with an entourage, as all speakers should. I have my producer, my best friend, and like the love of my life, Victoria, is with me. Then I have two special guests. I have two special guests that are equally as important, only we just don't hit it off the same way I do with Victoria, which is Marvin and Sam. Marvin and Sam are two of my dearest friends. They are incredibly wonderful and successful people. And during my evolution of this lifetime and their evolution, we've been having lunch as dear friends, and everything of which I'm going to speak about evolved with them sharing the way with it with me through our discussions and stuff. So first, and by the way, the other thing I want to acknowledge, it's just the culture that you guys have as a group is very heartwarming, and it's very inspiring to see how, I assume there's a social life that goes with your intellectual pursuits, and for each of you to have this group of you guys doing it, it's really, really something that's inspiring, and it would be wonderful if everybody had something like you guys have put together. With that said, well, we live right by UCLA, so it's when you open up the Beverly Hills one, we'll be back. Anyway, but thank you for the invitation. Anyway, probably 20 years ago, I had a compulsion to write a book about real estate, and I wrote the book about real estate, and my style of being a writer is to take notes. Then I have someone that I work with. I have him interview me. I have him paste and cut all of the interviews together and organize it, and then I rewrite it and rewrite it. So with that book, which was written under the name Zen to Zillions, the consciousness approach to real estate, it was immediately bought by Random House, who changed the name to the Yes I Can Guide for Mastering Real Estate, and I should have stuck with the first. But I enjoyed the experience tremendously, and it sold modestly for a few years. But the reason I mention that book is that I had no idea why I wanted to write it. But after reading the book, which I wrote every word of, I found out I had a whole system of how I operated that I had no idea about without reading my own book. Probably when I was probably in my 30, 32, something like that, I had been very successful, you know, from my peer group in the business world from college on. And by the time I got to be about 30, I found that I was very successful with money. But it no longer masked, the business world no longer masked unhappiness, which I wasn't even aware of, because I was so busy making a buck and chasing the rainbow that it just didn't come up to me. Well, when the success came, that's when I came to understand that things were not fulfilling for me, and that's about the time I started going on what I now call the search. And I think the search, everyone, in my mind, everyone on the planet's on the search. Although if you listen to some of the people like Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, who writes about passing on, she talks about in the 6 stages of death that that for some of us, that search comes really fast in the last few minutes of life. But for many of us, the search is forever. And so my search pretty formally started being on a shrink's couch. Oh, no, it was sitting in the chair in front of him. And what I had found is by that time that in my business areas of my life, I could make very substantive decisions, relatively easy, didn't anguish over them, buy it, don't buy it, and I have very few regrets about any of the business things I did. But in other areas of my life, I found myself trapped. Now, by the way, I also, in the business part, one of the things I've come to understand is, and I have bought hundreds of pieces of property deal after deal, and we own quite a few properties all over the United States now. But with the business decisions, if I applied everything I knew to every business deal I ever did, I probably never would have bought any of them. That's just the way it is. And but in my personal life, it turned out I started to anguish over things with my wife, things with my children. And it's because those personal relationships, I ended up realizing I was very trapped in them. Now, by the way, this is my first speaking engagement. So my purpose for this evening is to share what I have with you, which is all my own experience. And also at a selfish level, it's to see if I enjoy it. And if I enjoy it, I'll do more of it. So if you see me uncomfortable with this, just know it's out of inexperience, not out of either clumsiness and inexperience or one or the other. So one of the things I found myself with is I found myself that I was in my own prison cell. And pretty much, I think all of us, or at least most of us, go through in life finding that we feel trapped. And I found myself trapped in a lot of my personal relationships, and that's when I started with a shrink. And at this juncture, at 68 years old, I believe I've had far more therapy than Woody Allen. But if not, we're neck and neck. But I have also done tons of all of the pop psychology things, tons of the seminars. Whenever the books got to be bestsellers, I checked them out. So I've collected all of this wisdom, and I've refined it all for my own benefit. In the way I talk about the real estate book, when I got a couple of years ago to the law of diminishing returns, where I found I wasn't getting the same ahas out of my search as I got earlier in my life, I decided to see what I got by writing a book about it in the same way I wrote the real estate book. So the book, which I am proud of, very proud of, that's here tonight, and by the way, if any of you choose to buy it, I was so inspired by watching everything else, but please donate. I'll donate 100% of the proceeds to your charity. So if you buy the books, you'll be helping your charity, but I hope you read the books. In any event, we all find ourselves in this situation of finding that we're in some sort of a prison. And I'm going to step a little forward because my plan here is to follow my own PowerPoint, and I can't really see it. When you find that you're in that cell, the reason we are all in that cell is because we don't take responsibility that we hold the keys. We let the wife hold the keys, we let the boss hold the keys. It's just like we're in a prison that's a real prison, except there the warden holds the keys. So until you really get that you're holding the keys, you're not going to really get anywhere. We've given our power to someone else. And by the way, whenever you're in that prison cell, you're without power. You feel without power, and you're at the effect of everything. When you're in that prison cell, in order to get out of the prison cell, it's like Monty Hall would say, there's always 3 doors to do it with. The 3 doors you can do it with is accepting the situation fully. And there's that expression, accepting your partner, warts and all. And that doesn't mean begrudging it. It means, hey, I choose this, and that's the way it is. And that's kind of hard for us to do a lot of time, but that gets you out of the prison. The next thing that can get you out of prison is changing the situation. It's very hard to change people. The only thing you can really change is yourself. So that's door number 2. The third way you can get out of the prison cell is remove yourself from it. And if you're in a marriage, that's okay, the marriage is over. If you're in a job you don't like, it's okay, I'm going to take my chances and get a new job. Those are always the 3 doors. Those are the only 3 doors to any bind. To take those doors requires transformation. And that transformation is changing from the person you were, who had a point of view that you're ingrained in, to opening a new point of view. There's 6 steps in that transformation. We're going to go through the 6 steps. A shift in perception, identifying the dysfunctional patterns, identifying our organizing principles, creating new guiding principles, and then, most important, being in the now. And after you get into being in the now is living fearlessly, for the rest of the time. The first thing is a shift in perception. The way the shift in the perception comes is from accepting what the situation is. If you're unhappy in a relationship, it's saying, hey, I'm unhappy in the relationship. Unhappy in a job, unhappy with your financial situation, doesn't make a difference. You have to own you're unhappy about it. By the way, usually you need a breakdown before you can have a breakthrough. Something just has to be so bad for most of us that you can't tolerate it anymore, and that's when you leave. Second thing is acknowledging that you're responsible for it.